guys? This is BMOC. You're now tuning to BMOC.TV, another episode of The Culture. Do not ask me what episode this is, because I honestly don't know. This is a not a live episode, a pre-recorded episode based on the topic tonight, the feminization of hip-hop. I thought, for a discussion of this magnitude, I didn't want, kind of like the outsider fans kind of jumping in. You know what I'm saying? I kind of want to have a real great dialogue. So I did want to actually record this episode privately, and I'll release it in a couple of weeks, which you won't know it because you'll see it when it's released. All right, so for the dope co-host of tonight, this Shauna, say what's up to the people, man.
Welcome back. You know what I'm saying? Right back here where I left off. Appreciate, like I said, BMOC and the panel for holding me down. Most importantly, holding down the culture. Glad to be back. We got a great topic. We got a group of great minds here tonight, so I'm ready to get into it. It's going to be great.
Put your thinking caps on. I see you with the 3,500 shirt.
Always representing. 3,500.
Always. I always have somebody from California always on the show, so you always represent. I don't hear no noise. Tatiana, say what's up to the people. Superstar.
I am not this superstar you claim that I am.
Holding you down.
I'm just a regular journalist who can be seen on BladeNegro.com and BaratFest.com and House of Music Podcast coming back someday.
I'm trying to be a guest for the House of Music Podcast.
We can do that.
I'm trying to get my numbers up, so I need to be on every podcast possible. That's what they're telling me. So yours is next. You is next.
We gotta come back first.
Okay, when y'all come back, I'm gonna be back with y'all. All right. Step on, man. Newbie of the crew. Say what's up to the people.
Hey, what's up? I'm Stefan. I don't know. I write sometimes when I feel like it. Most of the time, I seem to start shit. So.
Oh God. All right. Part-time writer, part-time starter. I love it. This is great. John, say what's up to the people.
Yo, what's up, world? John here. Just chilling down here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Just working. Check me out on Merchant Smith Images on Facebook. I do a little photography on the side.
Okay.
Sports junkie, music junkie. Always got my old school on deck. So, go ahead and get this. If you don't own it, buy it.
Is that 8-track? What is that? Is that 8-track?
Oh, no. This is the box set, brother. This is the whole thing. No, it's not 8-track.
I didn't know you did those.
With the fire? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just happened to be on the show, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, all right, cool. Corey, say what's up to the people. Just had a Compton joint. What's up?
Yeah, Corey out of Harlem, straight out of Manhattan, whatever you want to call it. Hey, I'm just, I don't know, man. I do a lot of stuff. But right now, I'm a writer. I write books.
Okay.
And, hey, I like the group. I like to talk about things. This is what it is. I'm a BMOC, baby.
Okay. You in the west side or the east side? Of Harlem. Where you at?
What part of 140 here?
Okay, west. Okay, cool. Stefan, he's in the tour of his apartment.
Yeah.
Stefan, I need you to sit down somewhere.
Sorry, I thought it was an episode of Cribs.
No, it's not. You are
episode
not,
of Cribs.
You are not Redman. You're not Redman. Okay.
Yo, my bad, yeah.
Cool. All right. So tonight's topic is the feminization of hip-hop. Basically, kind of started in our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/BMOCTV. I think it was you, Corey, that posted a picture of Rakim, Nas, and it was a Young Thug. So they were like side by side, right? And if you guys have headphones, please put them on. So I'm hearing that light echo in the background. So headphones with a mic would be great. Okay, so you put Rakim for I think it was our era. I don't know. It was different eras comparing. So yeah, so it was basically talking about, okay, so Rakim, the God MC was like the golden age. You had Nas, that was like the man in the 90s, and then it was like Young Thug, was like the representation of like today's hip hop. And it was their era, which was in pink letters with Young Doug wearing like a dress. And so this topic has came up many, many times about out of all the MCs out today who's killing it, from Kendrick Lamar, from J. Cole, from Big Sean, from Wale, why is Young Thug always considered to be the mascot for this era? He sells the least amount of units. He only has one album. He doesn't have any radio play, but he's the king master of he's the king master of memes. So we'll give him that. The meme gang is crazy. So I kind of want to, and then people, Corey, you went into it and saying that it was a representation of the feminization of hip hop, which is the agenda to emasculate males who are in the hip hop culture, who are inside, who listen to hip hop culture, in this long-term plan to destroy the universe. So I'm paraphrasing right now. So I want, where did Corey go?
It said he left the call.
Yeah,
I don't know if he got disconnected.
Okay, cool. Young Thug went over and disconnected his service. So, okay, John, you're here. You have to back it up. So, John, in terms of this whole secret plot world agenda, I'm not trying to be funny about it.
Yeah.
Okay, what is your take on this feminization of hip hop? Why is Young Thug being used like the poster boy for this plan?
I don't want to say it's all of just hip hop. I think it's more of a multicultural thing. It's pop culture now.
Okay.
Even beyond him, I mean, you got Jaden Smith to me seems to be the poster boy of this thing. You know what I'm saying? First of all, let me get something straight. I'm not homophobic. I know some stuff was taken in misconception and all that, right. But I feel that some roles need to stay some roles. That's just me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Gender roles.
I don't believe, gender roles. But okay. I mean, speaking of hip hop, I'm not going to say it's going to take it over, but maybe one day you may see this on a mass scale. Mm. You know what I'm saying? No, Jay-Z's not in it. Kanye's had some questionable stuff, but I think the way pop culture is going, this could be the norm someday, just to go outside and see a couple of cats in skirts and Louboutins or whatever you call it,
Okay, red bottoms, okay.
Yeah, but I don't know why he's the poster child. I think I'm looking at it like this. You said he doesn't have sales, but when I go on YouTube, man, this cat's got like 1 billion views, man. Yes, well,
people love to watch him act a fool. They look who he has on, but they're not buying the record. So
right.
Unfortunately, in the music business game, if what you're doing is not creating sales, whether that's albums, downloads, or tour sales, you really don't have an impact. Exactly. You have what they call a buzz, which could die at any moment. His is probably going to die this year. This is a prediction. So, Corey, you actually posted a picture I was talking about comparing the eras. What is your take on this whole feminization of hip-hop? Why is Young Thug considered the poster boy of what is to come in hip-hop?
From what I've been looking at, I've been taking a lot of look at the trend that started. It seemed like it started in like 2010, 2009, 2010. And I remember a picture of, I think it was Diddy. He had on a kilt. And, I didn't think anything of it because, like that's part of the Irish culture.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Well, fashion and hip-hop, it's always been merged on some level. But from what I remember, like coming through the times, even from 2000 moving forward, it was more about being counterculture. Now that, hip-hop is very corporate, which is nothing wrong with that because it's about making money. But with that comes the merge of the actual fashion industry. And we all know that fashion is moving in a whole different direction. I mean, it's not about – fashion is not even gender-lined anymore. Like you could wear women's clothes if you choose to do it. It's not about – this is not even a gay – it's not even about being gay.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm glad that we actually all on here because, sometimes when you type stuff, it could get taken into whatever context of how you take it that day. Because when you read something, you can't hear the context of what somebody's saying or whether they're even genuine because I don't even think from what I got from being in the group, I didn't see anything, in terms of guys being like homophobic or anything like that. Yeah, I didn't see that. But the dialogue is always good. But I got a list. Like I'm thinking about all of because it's not just Young Thug. Like it didn't start with him. Like I remember cats back in the days. They used to wear the tight T-shirts and like Melly Mel, like and even in his video, The
Oh
Jungle,
man.
like the dudes
Yeah.
in the background, you know, they had on some nice tight shirts or whatever. But remember when that came out, that was 1979. I was 10 years old. I mean, I wasn't wearing no wife beaters, but you know, I wasn't being brought up to dress like that either.
Right.
But you know, but I'm just thinking. I got a little list in front of me. I'm just thinking. Let's see. We got Cameron. I think he wore a pink fur.
Okay.
CeeLo wore the wedding dress. Let's see. ASAP Rocky had on the dress. We said Diddy already with the kilt. Pusha T, Wiz Khalifa, Mos Def, which really Mos Def had on the.
Hold on real quick. What did Pusha T have on?
Who? Wiz Khalifa?
You said Pusha T. What did Pusha T have on that was?
They showed him he had on like some boots and a dress, and I ain't really understand the layout. You understand? Like
I would have to see that. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, like what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at the video again. I'm gonna screenshot it and I'm gonna just put it, you know, like in a message, and I'm gonna do that.
If you could do me a favor, while I'm going around where everybody speak, while everybody else is speaking, I need you to pull that up on the. I need to see that. I need to see it.
Okay. I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna put it on the email.
It's serious now. It's serious now. Show's over.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Wiz Khalifa, I believe it. He wears skinny jeans up like that, but I've never seen Pusha T anything questionable. You know what I mean?
Okay. No. So then.
Had the flats. That's it.
Let's see. Mos Def, he had on more like a lapa. I called it a lapa because in African dance, like dudes wear lapas and women wear lapas. So, but that's what it looked like. But when you look at it visually, it looked like a dress. I would say that's on the borderline. You know, I wouldn't even really call it a dress. But let's see, Andre 3000, Kid Cudi, Snoop Dogg, Kanye West, Pharrell. I mean, Pharrell, I think he just did a photo shoot last year. You know, I don't know. I mean, it depends on what your style of dress is. I know I have seen a couple of European fashion shows in terms of like little snippets where the dudes was actually wearing skirts, and it was, you know, but this is Europe, so you know, it's fashion. So when fashion merges into hip hop, like where's it gonna stop though?
Okay.
It doesn't have to stop, but where does it stop in terms of hip hop?
Where's the line?
When we think hip hop, what do we think of really in hip hop? We started with on the street, storytelling, you know, things like that. Or, you know, well, of course, you got misogyny, drugs, clothes, you know, money, clothes, hoes, misogyny. You had, we already had the questionable lyrics from Cannabis. You can't eat a dude's butt like me. That could be a metaphor though. When I actually read his rap, that could have been a metaphor. Okay. Then in Biggie Smalls song,
oh my God,
me and my bitch, you know, like he said, you know, he could eat the father's Johnson for the woman.
We got it. Well, that was a
Richard man.
Okay. To the credit, that was a Richard Pryor line. That he said in the song. Not saying it's acceptable. I'm just saying where the root from that came from.
Yeah, where the root came from. Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Cool. It was intended to be a joke. All right. So
let me look up the Pusha T. Y'all keep talking. I'm gonna look.
Yeah. Please look at the Pusha T. Okay, so Stefan, so you know, obviously you were one of the kind of like the head people in the discussion as far as I guess some of the issues that they may have had with comparing the genres, the era, the secret plan, and all that kind of stuff. What is your take on the whole feminization of hip hop and your stance on it?
Well, I think that hip hop is hip hop has always been expression, and like Arthur was saying, Corey was saying, it's about it's more about how we express ourselves and how we tell our stories. And he also said that people in the comments were being homophobic. And I think that two things. One, if someone's story is different from your story, does not make it authentic, and does it not make it hip hop. If Biggie's story is about being a gangster and it's about him selling cocaine and all these things that are definitely horrible, but then there's another rapper who's speaking about things about being a gay man or just being a man who's wearing a dress, because wearing a dress doesn't necessarily mean that you're gay. Why is his story questionable, or why is his story something that needs to be taken down or challenged or refuted? Mm-hmm. And I think the second thing is that saying that it's not homophobic, but then also saying that using the term questionable for lyrics that seem homosexual, that's not about feminization. You can put a dick in your mouth and not be feminine. So I'm trying to figure out. I'm just trying to figure out, like, if we're going to talk about feminization, we're going to talk about feminization.
Well, that's the misogyny part of it, though. I think that's the misogynic lyrics, right? Because they're equating that to being a female, which you're making a good point about that.
And that's another thing. That's another big thing to put on with that, and I think that's really shit. I just think that, like, hip hop is homophobic because hip hop is misogynistic.
Yeah.
So there's obviously things that need to kind of be unboxed and talked about in order for us to get to a place where hip hop isn't doing things that are really offensive to other people.
Yeah.
But I can understand why you want to have the conversation on the feminization of hip hop. But if we're going to have a conversation about the feminization of hip hop, we need to have a conversation about the feminization of hip hop, not homosexual agenda within hip hop, because they're two different things.
That's a
I
good
agree.
point. So
I agree.
So Tatiana, I'll get to you. So you were in the conversation as well. It was really heated. What is your stance so far on the topic?
I'm a big fan of just people living how they want to live and other people minding their business. I do not define manhood by what a person wears. I do not define my womanhood by the things that I do or the things that I wear. So I don't think you say a person is wearing a kilt, a skirt, a tunic, what have you, means that they're being a feminine woman. Androgyny has been around for decades. Like, this is nothing new. I don't get it. I don't. I'm just over it.
You know what? But you know what, Tatiana? What I've noticed.
Hold up, Corey. I gotta get to my business, man. Don't take my job. Don't take my job. We coming back, man.
It's already a barbershop in here.
Right. I'm Uncle Jeff tonight. Okay. It's Team Summit. What is your stance on the situation, man? Feminization of hip hop, man. What's up?
Man, it's interesting because I think, people have spoken to about how we're trying to fine line separate, whether it's about, homosexuality or feminization. And I think they are crossing over and being intertwined. So I can see both perspectives, right? So I think when people talk about an agenda, we're going to use that word even though it may be overused. I think, from the folks that I talk to, when you look at it, people feel like the agenda isn't a knock on necessarily just hip hop or even, the black folks within hip hop. It began, like you said, quite a while ago, before black folks even had a position of power or voice in mainstream media, to kind of separate that, that black family, and the agenda was looked at as the best way to do that. It's kind of remove the father from the home, and then that progressed to, okay, well, now they have positive figures, but, whether killing or tearing them down, the goal was to kind of remove them. So that's what people talk about, the greater agenda. And the folks that I've spoken to that feel like it's being aggressive is just the new media to it, right? So folks talk about, like you said, Jaden Smith being like a poster child now, as opposed to, whatever it would have been a couple decades ago, or the Caitlyn Jenner thing. And so it's kind of like that's not just hip hop based, but I think they feel like hip hop is the new media darling, and the media has always had this agenda to kind of, do these things. A friend of mine was talking about how he was looking at, just like when we talk about the homosexual, like the White House being lit up and things like that. So I think the lines are blurred. So we try to separate them, but being honest, they are blurred. And so folks kind of feel like that's the issue. Right. But when you look at the other side and people talking about, well, where's the agenda? They have a case too, because we talk about the agenda as new and quote unquote their era pulling from the post. But a lot of people in this era weren't hollering that when they were bumping Michael Jackson, who was wearing tight clothes and had, young men sitting on his lap and had the soft voice speaking, or Prince, who parents were rocking and had. So it's like, if you're going to have the issue with Young Thug, but you don't, and so I just think that's where people are like, chill out. If you're saying this agenda is new, if you feel it's an agenda, because there's been things like, Tatiana said, going on forever. So why do we feel like it's specific to hip hop, and why is there an issue now? So I see both sides of it, And I just think, as everyone I'm speaking to, it comes from a belief system and what you believe and how you feel, and that's where all the views, kind of differentiate.
So that's a good point. I want to say my issue right now. So here's my issue. There's always this conversation about the secret dealings of the music industry. You know, the music has made young men more violent. They've sold more drugs. They've shot people. They've become gangbangers because of music. We're acting as if music's not a mirror of society, right? So it's always an agenda for something. It can never be this person had one thought executed. It's always this powerful white, deity behind the scenes set together, planned this out, and is putting it on the media. It's like, no, like maybe NWA wanted to talk about police brutality because they were getting beat up by the police. Maybe such and such was talking about Raekwon talking about selling drugs because he was selling drugs before music.
Exactly.
Because if we're gonna say music is changing culture, what happened when there wasn't hip hop? People were still shooting people. People were still selling drugs. People were still doing that. So you talk about the feminization of hip hop. I'm not seeing the difference. I'm not seeing the change. I'm not seeing the hit 911 cause for it. When I was young, I saw Dennis Rodman as a basketball player dress up in a wedding dress. I saw Larry Johnson, Grandmama, on Family Matters, shooting hoops with Steve Urkel. I didn't have a sudden urge to go into my mom's closet and put on a dress.
How old were you?
I don't know. It was so. Let's see. If Family came out in
If Family Matters, you
might have been about 7 years old.
So if I was I probably was in the third or fourth grade.
Okay, yeah,
right? But I was a big fan of Michael Jackson. I saw Prince on TV. All these different eras, all these different things. At the same time, I'm listening to Michael Jackson. I'm listening to Wu-Tang. I'm listening to Biggie. I'm listening to whoever's out. I'm not shooting people up. I'm not selling drugs because I had a parent to show the difference between entertainment and reality, right?
Right.
So I'm not concerned about a secret world war agenda to change me because I'm going to be me regardless. Now, my friend next door could be seeing the same stuff I'm seeing, and they may want to decide to wear a dress. They may want to decide that's how they want to express themselves, right? And that's just based upon either how they were taught or how they want to be. Because a lot of people have straight parents and they end up dressing eccentric or being gay or whatever, what have you. But my issue is I don't understand why we always have to downgrade the current generation of hip hop to validate previous eras. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like the 80s and 90s can only be great if you dismiss what's going on now.
And can we just please be clear for a moment that Young Thug is a complete and utter flop. YouTube views did not equate to sales. He barely sold. He could not even sell 20,000 copies.
17K.
His biggest news story of last year was how he was named in an indictment to kill Lil Wayne. There's nothing about Young Thug that is a representation of music right now, and it's actually disrespectful for the artists who put time into their craft and is out there creating great music. It's very disrespectful to them and to their craft to try to make Young Thug a poster child of anything but flops.
So John, I'm gonna go to you. John, would you say that maybe the reason why the older era keep using Young Thug is because they don't want to admit that some of the current rappers today have surpassed them? And they want to use the most lowest rapper on the totem pole to get rid of
course. I mean, when you say surpasses, Drake sold more than Gangstar. Let's be honest. I don't even think Gangstar ever went gold, which is a crime. Yeah, you're gonna have that. You're gonna have those 4 or 5 guys. What was it, Lupe and J. Cole and Kendrick? What is that about the I'll call those the new 5, if you will. But I don't have a problem with that. I won't say that, if you look at the quality of music, I know we're probably off subject, you look at the quality of music, I can't go buy, honestly, I don't know about you guys, I used to be able to go buy 5 albums.
Okay.
Now, if I was a DJ, I would be forced to, but I can't even name 5 right now where I'm like, I gotta have that.
You talking about
because
mainstream, right? You talking about
yeah,
mainstream, though.
yeah, mainstream, whatever. I mean, everybody's making music, but
Well, John, let me
Yeah,
ask you, how old are you?
37.
37.
Yes,
Cool. So at 37, would you say honestly that you listen to the radio every day?
I do, but I don't. I'm not listening to Power 98.
Okay. So
I'm
you're not.
listening to when I go to work. I listen to Steve Harvey show. Now I will go over to the hip hop station, and
Okay.
I hear a little trap.
Okay.
That's not my thing. Now I am aware of Migos and a lot of these other guys. I know who they are.
Well, right. You may be aware. Right. You may be aware. But I'm just
Very.
trying to compare the consumption between you being 25 to you being 37. Would you say that you consume less current music now than you did almost 10 years ago?
Yes. Yes.
So off that basis alone, would that be considered making it harder to find 5 albums if you're not as consumed with music as you were 10 years ago? Current music.
Yeah, I mean, it's a personal taste thing. Personal taste thing. I mean, you say 10 years ago, you're talking about 2005, 2006 era. I was listening to a lot of Kanye heavy then.
That was like Little Brother.
Yeah. Nelly was in the club. He was hot in the club.
Yeah, Nelly was hot back then.
Was that Chingy back then? Yeah, no, a lot of that. And then sometimes we can't be prisoners of our era. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I had it made because I remember before hip hop was even on air. You know what I'm saying? When I'm from Columbus, Ohio, all you was hearing was Roger Trapped Out, and then you start hearing a little Run DMC as time went along. So to me, man, the 90s was just great coming up in that era. But yeah, it's a big difference from 10 years ago. It's definitely a big difference.
Are we going on the airplay thing though? I mean, because you know how it is on the radio. I mean, you'll hear maybe 15, 20 songs all day. Because there's heavy rotation going on right now. And you know what? And this is the thing I do like about hip hop today is that it is about there is a lot of sales going on. So that means that people are consuming the music. But people have always consumed it. But I think the tracking methods have gotten better now because people used to sell out of their trunk or their cars or out of their living room. And now they have all these different databases to track sales. I mean that's a big deal. And I agree with Tatiana said in terms of letting people be free. I mean, that's what you were alluding to, right, Tatiana? Freedom of expression type of thing?
I was just saying that people should mind their business and do what they feel like doing in life.
Oh yeah, they're gonna do that. They're gonna do that.
Yeah, I don't want to misquote.
I think Jay-Z said it best when he said, "What you eat don't make me shit." So nobody should be worried about anybody's choice of dress or anything because at the end of the day, this influence that you claim some of these rappers have, if this was the same thing, if you're saying to me as a 10-year-old child, when Lil' Kim came out, everything that she was talking about, if she's one of my favorite female rappers, if I was so influenced by her that I was doing everything she was doing, I would be walking around wearing latex paint and Sprite cans in my mouth.
No, what's the context? Because Walter gave a context. He said I had people who was raising him in his corner, and he said he was going to be him regardless. Like being impressionable and being bombarded with media images.
You're always going to be impressionable. You're at some point in your life, you're going to be impressionable. I went through a rebellious stage in my life. I still wasn't walking around in latex paint or Sprite cans in my mouth.
That's specific to you.
I knew how I was. Well, everybody is an individual thing, but that don't mean that every single thing. Like I watch TV all day. I have a blog about television. Growing up, watched so much television that it only makes sense that I work in entertainment. Everything on television did not influence me in a positive or negative way. I knew what I wanted to do in life, and I was raised a certain way. I don't live that certain way. I was raised a Christian. I'm a Buddhist now. It's just I live my life how I want to live my life. I went through a phase where I wore nothing but boy clothing. Did I turn into this raging stud. No, I just wanted to wear boys' clothing because that was comfortable for me.
Right.
I play video games. I play
Queen
Mortal
Latifah.
Kombat like 4 hours a day. I play Madden. I run dudes for money from Madden from the time that I was 13 until my sophomore year in college.
Hey, Lord.
Yeah, that's hot.
Legend.
That's cool. That's
Legend.
cool.
Okay, well, Tatiana, since you're reading us, Corey. So let's go just right to it. What is the problem, man? What do we have to be scared of? What? Is the boogeyman
No, I don't.
coming?
No, I think this is what it is. It's not about.
Tell me.
No, it's nothing to be scared of. But it's more like this. You got to take. Okay, for every one of us who have said that, like, listen, we all been impressionable and we didn't follow the trend. Like, I'm not gonna go and wear a dress because that's just not me. But at the same time, I'm not gonna knock a person for doing it. I'm just saying that that's not me. But when you start looking, and the reason that the Young Thug, first of all, I didn't create the meme, but I put it up. Let's clarify that.
Oh, I done bodyguard just shot at somebody. Oh.
No, but I put it up because it's a necessary conversation to have because hip hop and fashion has merged, and I do remember when we were counterculture. And yeah, I'm not going to say that we were the greatest dressers back in the day because we weren't. I mean, we had some horrible dress styles, just like there are horrible dress styles today. I mean, but at the same time, when you start talking about mass media and the brainwashing and subliminal messaging, like, that's real. Like, if you keep playing the same, I've heard songs on the radio. There was a Drake song or two. Like, I don't bombard Drake and say I don't like him, but I heard a song, over the course of a month. Yeah, I did like it. I didn't start out liking it. That's just how music is. Yeah, that's one of them.
It's a hit. But
it's a hit.
But Corey, I'm still confused. Like, I feel like what you're saying can apply to any year, any era, any century, any civilization, right? So, but what today do we need to be worried about with this topic? Like, what is the problem? What do we need to do to fix it? What is the issue?
It's a fear.
Exactly.
It's a fear. And I think it's a fear. I think it's a fear because hip hop is something like black people, just as a whole, as a community, we're known for getting things taken from us. Everything that we create, we take. And the one thing that we kind of always still have, even to this day, is hip hop. And so with hip hop, it's like it's exclusive to us. And so anything that is not hip hop, we try to shut out. And the reality is that we are witnessing something where people in the 80s, people in the 90s, in the 80s, AIDS was everywhere. So you had people who were scared to come out. You were people who were scared to be themselves, to dress a certain way because they were scared they were going to get stigmatized. Now you don't have that. So you're going to have artists who are going to come out here and do something and be influenced by what they're seeing and be open about their situations or however they feel to present themselves.
Nice.
So your issue, I understand that you may be protective of hip hop because you guard it as a vessel. I think we all do. I just think that your issue is becoming becoming almost like irrational. Because it's not coming from a place of a real foundation or facts or statistics, and then it becomes homophobic because when something becomes irrational, when something is first irrational, it's used as hate, and when it's used as hate, you're not doing any service to anybody who really needs it and who really feels like they can be open about themselves.
Yeah, because
because I'm with like I said, I'm with expression. Express yourself, all of that stuff. I mean, that's the honest truth. When I'm thinking of, when I say impressionable kids and trends, I'm talking about this is just the tip of the iceberg. This, like I said, has nothing to do with being gay. I'm talking about the fashion itself, where if you have cross-dressing people, it sends a message, and unless y'all don't believe in the messaging that does take place of normalizing things.
I don't.
Cross-dressing is a very dated phrase.
Mm-hmm.
What message does it send, though?
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, things are being normalized. It's like you have to normalize everything. I mean, just like hip hop wasn't mainstream. Hip hop was against the culture. like mainstream culture and hip hop was parallel.
With
Now
the
they're
danger of it
together.
being
So
normalized,
anything,
though.
But Corey, when hip hop was not mainstream, it was because it wasn't making a lot of money. I mean,
is that it? Is that it?
that is positively it. Once people started selling bigger records, it became mainstream. MC
Run
Hammer
DMC.
to become mainstream. Vanilla Ice, mainstream. Then you got the hard. Then gangster rap was selling a lot. Then you had the bling bling stuff. Then it became in the late '90s a mega monster. So nothing is mainstream until it sells money, ratings. So that's why it was. It wasn't because it was just, oh, we didn't want it to become that. No, people got money, sold records, and that was that. It was a counterculture, yes.
Right.
But it wasn't making money. That's why it wasn't mainstream. I mean, it was a new genre. It's the newest genre. I mean, of course it wouldn't be, right?
So I think a couple of things here is one, it's interesting because you talk about the fear and whether it's rational or irrational. And I think you start to talk about when you look at the list and the people, it's the figures, right? And so that goes to what Stefan says is like, okay, well, you do have a fear because you see something seeping through that you want to keep, suppressed, right? And so that's what it boils down to is like, I don't want, my friends or sons or whoever dressing this way because it may lead to this. And so keep that suppressed because we all know that, things have been around for a long time. So I think that's where people's fear come from is because now you look on TV and it used to be the folks who dress or spoke or act like this were outcasts. And now they're being embraced by certain populations, and then that's where the fear comes along. And so then people are like, wait a minute, so why can't they embrace them? Kind of like what Tatiana's saying, I don't want to speak for her, but it's like, why can't that population be embraced more than a wacky haircut, or whatever? Why can't they be embraced? And I just think, like I said, I think, the elephant in the room always goes back to belief systems and culture. And being a Christian, I was having a conversation with some of my boys the other day, and one of my friends, Lance, brought up an interesting point. He was like, when it comes to, feminization and homosexuality, he's like, I always wonder why people react to that more than they do another quote-unquote sin.
Yeah.
Christian, I believe in sin. If I turn on the TV, I can comfortably see shooting, killing. I can listen to 50 Cent kill people. I can listen to Lil Wayne kill people, and I'm comfortable. And then somebody can get on the track and say something about homosexuality, or they can come on TV and dress a certain way, and I'm like, whoa, that's too much.
But then why is there not a space for it? Say there is a young guy who wears dresses in his spare time and is a fan of hip hop. Right. Why can't he be represented by an artist? Why does he have to be the person on the outside looking at everybody else being represented but himself? If hip-hop is supposed to be this thing talking about our struggles, if there is a gay rapper or a rapper who is androgynous and he dresses in women's clothing, if he can rap, why is he not being welcome in the culture?
And
they're probably already there.
Right.
I mean, that's fair.
But real quick, BMOC, just to cap off my point, and so my point was just to the fact that like we have to organize your thoughts and your beliefs, whatever it is, because right now I think they're all over the place, and that's what's causing it. Just to kind of mediate from what I heard, because people have one thing where like, okay, this is what my lane is, and this is what I like and don't like, but then the examples that are being used don't necessarily follow up to that. So that's kind of where I do agree with some of the folks that are like, well, is this legitimately your concern? Because the things that you're using as an example don't mesh up to that. How can you legitimately be concerned about this if you're not concerned about these things? And I agree to some extent that, if this is what you're going off of, you should be, if you are a Christian and you believe these sins, then you should be afraid of all these things. You can't turn on these things and be okay with it and not just using Christianity as an example. So I agree that you got to get kind of your things in order and say, what are your real concerns, and voice those as opposed to just using random,
Right. I would never use I don't I try to stay away from religion in those conversations because of the example that you just gave.
Right.
I mean, you're talking about morality and things of that nature. I'm just talking about on the most basic level of, a boy, I'm taking my son into the department store and they got panties in his section as opposed to like underwear. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm just talking about, fashion and where it's going. And normalizing that, like the cross-dressing part, but like Tatiana said, if a guy is lyrically a spitter, and and he says, you know what, I don't care what nobody says, I'm gonna put the skirt on, and I'm gonna still kill everybody, in this battle right here, if he's coming up through that game, or if he's straight mainstream and you wearing what you want to wear, nobody's gonna really question that part of it. But then there's people still gonna bash the fashion because of when you start blurring the gender lines of fashion. I mean, that's really what that picture was really. That's what I got from the picture. Not about Young Thug is a gay rapper and this and that. Like that's not what I got.
Well, that post took on its own life. Actually, I know that wasn't your intention to say that. He was just saying their era, my era, and theirs or something, whatever it said. So I think he was just talking about today, and I think the misconception was that Young Thug was put on there. You know what I'm saying? If it would have been
anybody else,
Kendrick, if it was Kendrick, we wouldn't even be on this right now. Maybe
but John,
you're talking about something else.
But John, it doesn't sound like you guys have an issue. Like,
I don't have an issue.
Hold on. I don't want to skate. I don't want to skate now.
Yeah.
Because Corey, you put the picture up comparing the eras, right? My interpretation was you saying Rakim was doing
I know it. You know what? And you don't even have to say it. I know what you're saying.
Let me finish. When Rakim was doing it, it was cool. When Nas was doing it, it was cool. Young Thug is now here. It's not cool. His influence and impact, whatever that is, it's going to then influence other artists and the audience listening to dress like him. And so my point was like, okay, if you're saying that, name me 5 other rappers today, currently in Young Thug's era, who's dressing like him. And you can't say Kendrick. You can't
Nobody
say
could.
No.
Nobody could give you the names. I'm like,
nobody could give names.
Why are we scared? When Dennis Rodman was having a dress, were we scared? When David Bowie had a dress, were we scared? When when whoever's wearing, Lil Wayne's wearing
are we scared? That's what was being said. That it was a trend. The trend. No, we gave 5. There was 5 that was given.
Those 5 that you gave were people that aren't even. Those 5 that you gave were people that were necessarily relevant to hip hop in this day and age.
Can we talk about relevancy? What are we talking now? We're
talking about people who actually are influencing hip hop currently. Okay, and CeeLo is not influencing hip hop currently.
What do you mean he's not getting airplay?
No,
I mean, let me tell you about influence real quick.
Walter told me. Walter told me straight up that influence in hip hop is about sales and money. He told me that.
Oh, okay.
Right?
No,
I mean that's what he told me.
I haven't even said anything yet.
CeeLo.
I'm talking about what Walter told me.
Okay, hold on for 1 second. What I told you, I said was that artists, right? In the music industry, right? Let's speak from the record label's perspective. Right. The artists that have the most influence, the most influential, typically are the ones that have the higher sales. This occurs in every genre, right? So if I say Rakim had a great influence, right? Rakim wasn't doing extraordinary numbers. He was still in the top 20% because hip hop at that point hadn't had platinum plaques. So him doing 90,000 in a week was considered the top of the chain for that genre, right? So he was influential. There's no artist you can name who's been as influential as these big name guys who consistently had bad sales. It doesn't happen, right? So that's what I mean. So yeah, when you can't influence the building if you're not selling something. That's in general. So a whole lot of memes and a whole lot of jokes about Young Thug, he's not influential.
But when you say influential, Big Daddy Kane is still influencing hip hop. I'm not talking about sales. When I go to the barbershop, there are kids like 13 with high top fades, and I say, "Where'd you get that from?" My dad showed me "Long Live the King" this album, and I thought it was a cool hairstyle.
Do you? But
so you don't have to be on air right now.
Well, let's be clear. CeeLo is a pop artist now.
Because
yes, first of all,
CeeLo
is a pop artist.
CeeLo is a crossover.
He's successful.
Big Daddy Kane may be influencing the one person that you met who has the high top fade.
No, there's a whole lot of kids out here wearing high top fades.
There's a lot of kids with high top fades who are.
Where do they get it from? Where do they get it from? I mean, come on, man. This is real. This is serious. This is serious.
Okay.
This is hip hop.
Okay. Hold on.
This is serious.
Stephen, real quick, John. I'm gonna go to you. Then I'm gonna go to Stephen. So we gotta be able to say. Okay. So John, this is what I think is the missing link of this, right?
Yeah.
Big Daddy Kane, how many albums did Big Daddy Kane have?
I don't know, maybe 7 or 8.
7 or 8. Okay. He would have got 7 or 8 if he didn't sell great on each album, right? So when you sell more records, guess what? You get more magazines. You get into more commercials. You get into more prints. You get hold up, but let me finish. You have a career based off of sales. So when you don't have sales, you go away. When you have sales, you stay. You get oversaturated. So you were able to see his videos on TV because he was selling records. That's the point of it. You didn't know how much he was selling. The label did. So the label consistently put him in front of you because he was selling records. That's influence. He was in a position to be influential because he was selling records. So that's what happens. You may not have known he went gold.
I know he did.
But he was only on video. You only saw him because he was. That's my point.
True.
So Stephen, get to your point real quick.
The thing is that, for one, Corey was saying that he fears that, like, he's going to take his son shopping and he's only going to see panties. We live in a country with choices. We live in a world with choices. Like,
did you know that they're trying to pass laws for that in some cities?
John, let him rock, John.
Hold on. Go ahead.
I don't want to hear about trying. When I see do, there's a difference. You can try to pass any bill you want to pass. A bill doesn't pass unless it's actually voted on, and people are never going to vote for something that's literally that ridiculous to begin with. Like,
what part is ridiculous? I missed that part.
The part that is ridiculous is the idea that we're going to live in a world where there's not going to be choices. We're going to live in a world where literally the only way that we can keep things the same is by suppressing people's voices. So in order for you to keep bringing your son to a store and let him shop for underwear, everybody's voices who were outcast have to continue to be outcast so that your son can feel comfortable enough in his masculinity. He's going to be a man regardless of whatever he puts on because you're going to raise him the right way and instill the values in him that he needs to be a man. It doesn't matter if he's wearing a dress or not. Now, you may not want him to wear a dress because you feel like that's not what he should be presenting himself as a man. He's going to do whatever he wants when he turns 18, but even with that being said, that doesn't mean that you should be trying to stop or isolate anybody else's way of viewing things. And I think
absolutely. I just don't want to see panties in the men's section.
But you don't have a right to stop that from happening.
Oh, absolutely. I know. I'm not a store manager.
You may not want that. And
no one is telling you to buy panties if they're in the men's section.
I understand that part.
But the thing is that you guys are sitting up here and talking about Big Daddy Kane is influencing hip-hop with kids walking around with high-top fades. A high-top fade is not something that is literally just akin to Big Daddy Kane. The high-top fade is something that's akin to an entire generation of rappers that continued on with Jay-Z having a high-top fade, which continued on with Nas having a high-top fade.
Kid and Play. It was Kid and Play before.
These kids are. Let me tell you, they're only seeing House Party once or twice and thinking this shit is cool. That's why they're being influenced. These kids are
exactly, which is a hip-hop film.
But House Party, a movie, is different from an artist. Big Daddy Kane is not being talked about in today's culture. He definitely is influential by bringing out people like Jay-Z to continue his legacy. But he's not influential by himself. He's influential through other people. That's not. So bringing up people like CeeLo, nobody even talks about CeeLo except to bring up this claim. Bring up people that are actually relevant to the game who are doing this, and you have not brought any receipts. It's been invalid all throughout.
So John, okay.
First of all, Big Daddy Kane is still relevant. So man, go ahead, Walter. I'm sorry.
WBLS?
Well, you don't have to be. You know what? Just because. You know what? Hip hop is hip hop, man. Hip hop is hip hop.
Hold on.
I don't know, like where?
Hold up, step up. For everybody watching, WBL is the station in New York that plays oldie but goodies.
Yeah.
So if you catch that joke and roll your head, that's what he's referring to. So John, okay. I'm trying to wrap my head around. Okay, so you told me. I said name 5 rappers who are dressing.
We didn't name them. We couldn't name them.
Hold up. But you gave
we named like 3.
But you gave me Andre 3000. You gave me CeeLo. you gave me Kanye, and you gave me ... right? I don't know what the dots are, but let me go with the 3 names. Okay, so they came before Young Thug. When Andre 3000 came out with Hey Ya and the wigs and stuff like that, nobody on my campus was dressing like him. When CeeLo had a dress on, I didn't see nobody at the mall dressing like him. When I walked on the street now, I'm in New York. I'm in New York City.
But they're dressing like it now, ain't they?
No, they're not.
Nobody's dressing like Outkast.
Hold up.
No. I'm saying, aren't guys? People are wearing dresses now, aren't they?
People aren't wearing as many dresses now as they were wearing in the 90s and wearing in the 80s. The difference is they can finally go outside their house and not worry about getting their brains bashed.
Do you live around drag queens?
Hold up for 1 second.
New York City.
When I go outside in New York City, right? I don't see that every day. Like I'm not seeing people freestyle in the street with skirts on. Like Corey and John. What are you guys having nightmares about? What are you guys afraid of, man? Like
I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not homophobic. The post took on a life of its own.
Homophobia and gender that's 2 different things.
No, we're not talking about
that. I have gay cousins.
You confusing us having fear. You talking about fear. It's not a fear. We're talking about trends. We're talking about things that happen. They have to take place somewhere.
What are you afraid of a man in hip hop wearing a dress and spitting rhymes? That's what the question is.
Who said anybody was afraid?
Who said they were afraid? I'm just telling you what the trend is.
An agenda means that you're afraid.
No, the agenda is agenda. The agenda is real, but it don't. If you study music, if you study anything in communications, there's an agenda for the news. Walter, you have an agenda when you go to work. Something that you have to get done, you have something planned. It's an agenda.
Okay, so
it doesn't have to be. Listen. Just an agenda.
He tells me to push stories about Young Thug in the dress.
No, you have an agenda. You're a writer. You have an agenda. It doesn't have to be about gayness. It doesn't have to be gay stuff. It doesn't have to be clothes. It's an agenda. There's an agenda for this show right now.
Hold on, John.
That's it. I'm not afraid of anything, though. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Deshaun.
To bring some balance too, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to bring balance to this because I work with young people, right? So for the last 8 to 10 years, I've been working in school settings from elementary to high school, and I've worked on numerous campuses with thousands of kids, right? I'm also a person that for one reason or another wouldn't, if I don't have a son, but if I had a son, wouldn't want him to be dressing in women's clothing just because I'm traditional. But where the balance comes in is on all the campuses I work on. I was talking this the other day. I can't think of ever seeing any, and this is like the product, right? Like this is the era. I work on a high school campus right now, and I don't see a lot of dresses. I don't see a lot of elaborate dress styles. I don't see the impact yet. Now this is my campus. I live in Sacramento. I work on numerous campuses, but there is some merit to saying where's the impact because I'm among students every day. And even when you talk about going into other things as far as transgender, I know maybe one transgender student from ones I work with. I'm actually, so it's talking about, they're asking about the residual. Where is the effect where the fear and the rational fear comes from? And so I'm seeing that point to where like we have to see that happen first. You know what I'm saying? And I work amongst youth all the time, and I don't see.
And it's not.
We just want to see the receipts. That's all it is. You just show us the receipts. That's it.
So then I'll say this.
That's simple.
I'll say this. Since we have this this forum here, and it would be a great idea if we all just keep in touch with each other over the years, and then we can look back on this day.
What?
If it happens, since y'all want receipts, because it has to happen, right? It has to be normal first.
Yeah.
You have to put the idea out there before it becomes normal.
But Corey, I feel like this, man. You can't make, and I'm not saying that you're doing it maliciously. You can't make an accusation without some studies, some statistics. Like, show me where artists have influenced young men to wear dresses. Like, where is that coming from? Like, you're telling me if Young Thug stopped wearing a dress, that people gonna stop wearing dresses? Is that what we're really doing? We're really saying that people have to put on a dress because Young Thug is doing it, not because they
No, not because of him. We're saying that it's out there right now. You see it in the movies. You see guys wearing dresses in movies. It's out there.
It's been out there. It's just you're seeing it now because people are tired of being silenced.
Is that what you think it is? Being silenced?
Correct. See, that's where I think when you talk about any population, culture, or group of people who feel like what they feel has been knocked, banned, degraded, then it not only comes back, but it comes back aggressive. It comes back, and that's how I think sometimes you see where it comes back very aggressive, and so bam, this is what I'm doing, and I'm not ashamed of it. And so I feel like that's when people are like, anybody that's aggressive, that's not no longer knocking on the door, you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, well, now you have that fear, like, well, they're not just knocking on the door no more, now it's kicking in the door, you know what I'm saying? People are doing it comfortably, and it's not like I spoke to earlier. So I think that speaks to Stefan's point, where it's like, and I think Tatiana said it on the post, like, these are people, forever that have just been a lot more silent with whatever their preference is as far as dressing, and now they're just not silent anymore.
You know what? To speak to Chad's point, let me tell you a story. So when the whole Bruce Jenner thing came out, right? Caitlyn Jenner now crossed over to be the female, right? I'm not a female. I'm sorry, a woman. It's a female woman.
Thank you.
No problem. I got you. I'm nervous.
Yeah, clarify.
No,
he still got his man parts, by the way. But,
that's none of your business, though.
I'm just telling you what it is.
Hold on.
You gonna be a woman or you not?
Can I get to the story?
Has.
Okay, can I get to the story? Thank you. Okay, so on my timeline, I saw, see what's going on? This is a whole agenda to make sure that people transgender over from a man to a woman. Like, people haven't been dealing with gender roles and all that for centuries, for years.
Caitlyn is the first trans woman. Like,
that's what somebody said on your wall. That's crazy.
No, not just one person. A lot of
men,
that's
crazy.
A lot of men were like, "What's going on? First is Empire, now it's Caitlyn Jenner." And I'm just like,
because it was force fed down our faces everywhere. He got an award.
No, it's not being forced down your face because nobody told you to watch the ESPYs. You could have turned.
That's a cop out. No. It was on every news show, everywhere you turn.
Let's be clear. Only 2 people on primetime TV are black LGBT people. That's fact.
No. Bruce Jenner. That was everywhere. You can't deny that.
Caitlyn Jenner being force fed down your throat.
No, when he crossed over. Listen. Listen to what I'm saying. Let me speak.
Can you acknowledge her in the right way, please?
Let me speak about Bruce / Caitlyn Jenner, whatever.
Caitlyn, and it will be
number one. His DNA he still has man DNA. So let's keep it real here. Look, when it came out, it was the biggest story all over the place. All I'm saying is it was the biggest media story of the year. It got press. That's why I'm saying it was all in your face. It was on your Facebook timeline. Is he the first? No. But for some reason, he was celebrated. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
So that was 2015. We're in 2016 now. So
a couple of weeks in.
A couple of weeks in. A couple of weeks in. Caitlyn Jenner is now what? Caitlyn Jenner is rarely ever talked about. You guys got to complain about how she was doing this, how she was doing that, how, oh my God, it was being shoved down your throat. Well, now she's literally just a regular socialite somewhere. What has changed? How many people are walking around here being confused about their gender or walking around with like parts that are missing and things like that? Like, how has it shifted you? How has it shifted hip hop? How has it shifted black people? What affected Caitlyn Jenner being a woman?
The only tie Caitlyn Jenner has to hip hop is the fact that her son-in-law is Kanye West. Caitlyn Jenner is not in the booth dropping bars to Metro Boomin track.
That's a bad example.
That was a bad example.
No, it's not a bad example. If you show me Caitlyn in the booth dropping lines to Metro Boomin track, you talk to me about Caitlyn's influence on hip hop.
I don't know who. I didn't name drop him, so.
I think Kanye a bad example.
Don't do it.
I don't even know who mentioned it.
Corey, can you answer Stefan's question? Can you answer this question? Like, if we're worried about these issues, what is the influence? What is the statistics? What is the evidence showing that this media being force fed is changing our culture? Where's the evidence? Where's the proof? What is it?
Well, it's been happening over decades. You know, like you said, like I said earlier, I said there's one. Well, you said CeeLo isn't relevant now, but there was a time where he was. So you're talking about him. He could wear a dress, right? He was relevant at one time. I mean, damn.
Within a group.
You just gonna kick the brother out the culture like that?
Okay, he was relevant at one time when he was dressing in wife beaters.
I'm just saying. We talking about people who were relevant in the culture who put on this attire. It happened over time, just
And
like
you're not
P.
acknowledging
Diddy,
Andre
just like
3000.
Pharrell. I mean, like
You're
dudes
not
was wearing.
acknowledging
I'm gonna
Andre
find you that
3000.
Pusha T thing though, Walter.
You can't find it because it's
No,
live.
I'm gonna find it.
Why are you lying? Okay, so let's get down to so Corey, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I could be. Are you telling me that 15, 20 years from now, you predict that based upon current trends, that the majority of hip hop is going to be emasculated based upon fashion? Is that what you're saying?
We going in that direction. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So that's what you're saying.
It's gonna be equal because it's not equal right now. Right now, you talking about people being oppressed, the people who do not want to come out, or people who want to be free and dress how they want. That's not the norm right now, but it's still trending in that direction because you see people trying it out.
Okay,
you see people doing a show in a skirt.
What's the problem with somebody wanting to do what they want to do being the normal?
No, I'm saying that normal is not. See, that's the problem with normal. What is normal? And so we talking about what we can see, right? We always talking about data and stats. So right now, what we're seeing on television, as far as people wearing dresses and things like that, no, that's not the norm because that's not what they're showing you. But over time, as trends continue to grow, it's going to become where it's no big deal. You're going to see a rapper spitting hot lyrics, and he's going to have on a skirt, and nobody's going to be able to, me personally, I'm 55, 60 years old, I'm not going to be like, oh, that ain't hip-hop no more. I still going to have to defend it to somebody who hates hip-hop. I mean, and that's the bottom line. I mean, I'm 46 years old. Like, I still got to, whether I like somebody's dress code or not is irrelevant. I still got to defend him to people who don't like that.
You're making it sound like defending hip-hop is an obligation. As if, like,
no, it is an obligation because of how I grew up. Like, it is an obligation. That was my only voice. If something that you love, you should be able to defend it without making it feel like it's an obligation, like a job. Like, it should be no, it's not a job.
Because you love the culture, not because it's suggestive. Like, you like this particular thing about the culture, but you don't love this thing. But you feel like you have to defend it. I gotta defend it. No, I have to defend. I have to defend hip hop because I grew up in the culture, just like y'all are growing up in it now. I grew up in it. I seen where it started, where it's going. I still gotta defend it because I'm in it. So it is I do gotta defend it. Because there are people. No, wait. Just the same way we can have this conversation and it's civil and it's organized and it's normal. Like, we're not, coming at each other's necks. We're having a conversation. But there are people who don't like hip hop, okay, and they hate hip hop, and they ain't afraid to tell you that. So when I run into those characters, and I do, I gotta defend whatever because it's hip hop.
But Corey,
no matter where it's going.
So you answer my question. You said basically going down a direction of where one day it's going to be equal between people who want to just dress how they want to dress, the skirt dresses, whatever, and then the regular hip hop that we've known, come to love, right?
Absolutely.
So if that day comes, what is the problem? Like, why can't you just say, okay, well, if that day comes, I'll just listen to the people who I want to listen to and ignore people wearing skirts? Like why? What is the issue if that day comes tomorrow? What's the problem with it?
No, I wouldn't say it's an issue. I'm just saying that when you follow a trend, you got to deal with what it's going to do to the people that's coming up behind it in terms of the kids. Because you're talking about a kid who, yeah, granted, kids are impressionable. I'm talking about young kids who have to make their own decisions. Like, I think Stephon put the age 18 out there. Some people are making decisions before that. So gender is not to be taken lightly. Like, it's not something that you can just turn off and on. I mean, it's not that type of thing. I mean, people are crossing it all over, crossing back and forth. Like, I know gay people that have kids and vice versa. So it ain't even about that.
So Corey, you have a problem. So basically, you don't have an issue.
No, I don't have an issue with it, but I put the meme up there to talk about it because it's out there.
Hold on 1 second, BMOC. Corey, don't get it wrong. I like to help co-host. I appreciate your kind of view, but I think in order for us to further the conversation, I feel like you have an issue with it, and we need you to speak to. I mean, because like you keep saying like this is where hip hop is going.
I told you my issue. No, right. The only issue I had is I said when I go into the department store and I don't see underwear anymore.
That's what I said. And you know, it was
Wait, is that Doug Thug's fault?
He's not. What he's saying is not far fetched because in some towns, and you don't have to believe it, there are groups that are trying to change that, and that's what it is. I'm not making this up.
Where?
I'll have to Google that for you. You know, we'll have to get on Google, but I've seen this on the news report.
What? You want specific?
Yes.
What's it called?
Yes. Specific. I want anything
of where?
Let me give you a specific thing that happened. Okay, so Morehouse, very respectable. We all know about how great Morehouse.
Oh yes.
Some of y'all probably went to Morehouse. I wouldn't be surprised. Morehouse.
Yeah, we can afford Morehouse, man.
That sounded like a stab right there. That sounded like a stab.
Yo.
Morehouse is very respected, but they imposed a law probably a decade ago. It's been a long time. But they imposed a law which basically stopped guys from going to school dressed in women's clothing, walking around the campus with their purses, things like that. Now, the guys they did it to were literally a limited amount of guys. That had changed the whole spectrum of Morehouse students that were out there in suits. You have Morehouse kids who wear different things. They're very creative. They wear hip-hop clothing. That had changed anything. The idea that one day you will see people who are like a rapper on stage killing it with a skirt on has already happened. Everybody seems to fail to acknowledge that Andre 3000 has not only an Album of the Year Grammy, but he also managed to cross over, and he also is literally one of the most respected rappers in the game, period.
I mentioned him earlier.
But the thing is that you're not mentioning the fact that when he was successful, nobody tried to do what he was doing, but everybody respected him for being himself. And what you're doing is saying that because Young Thug is out here, it's heading down a place that you feel your masculinity can't handle because there's kids who are going to look at it and think, well, maybe I can be that way. And there may be some kids who do actually pick up a dress and say, I want to wear it. And your feelings on that, your beliefs on that may be your beliefs. But kids are impressionable. But kids eventually learn to find comfort in being themselves and being true to themselves. A child, if you meet a child, like we all know how children are. Children are very well aware of themselves. Like a kid can sit down and play with something and be like, hey, like this is dope, and I like this, and I don't want nobody else messing with my stuff. Like there's not kids aren't this thing where it's like, oh, I just fall into whatever I'm doing. We don't tell kids to stop watching TV because it's violent. Or tell them to stop listening to us call women bitches because it's misogynistic. But we somehow tell them that they have to fit into these boxes that they can't really fit into all the time. Like girls can't fit into that because some girls are tomboys, and men can't fit into that because some men wear dresses, and some men wear pink, and some men wear this and do that. And their views on it are not allowed to form their opinions and form who they are. Like they have to form their own minds, and they have the freedom to do that now because there's a rapper like Young Thug, and there will be rappers in the future who give that right.
Sounds like influence.
I was also,
sounds like influence, Stefan.
And clearly we're not understanding. Clearly we're not understanding the idea of like, if somebody can influence you to be yourself, and if somebody influences you to wear a dress, you're not being yourself if you don't want to wear a dress. You're being yourself if you want to be yourself. If you happen to wear a dress, that's because you wanted to be yourself. Like just how like listening to Tupac did influence. I hope none of y'all was around smoking weed and selling cocaine and shooting up places. I don't think y'all were. But guess what? You need to be yourself. You need to be authentic. You need to how to speak in the streets.
So I want to pose a quick question. More so, I think I posed a lot to John and Corey, to Stefan and Tatiana. We were having, like I said, this conversation about gender roles, and a friend of mine was like, well, I'm comfortable with whatever because that's who I am. He said, but I know I'm kind of old school in the fact that like I felt like a common ground was the gender role back in the day. So it was like, it was differences in religions and, and differences in culture and things like that. He was like, but, men were men and just kind of did men things, and women.
But what is men things?
I
You want to know that?
No, what is men things?
Shooting people.
So
Oh no.
It's like
on,
you're trying
man.
to have this
Talking.
one straight definition on
Little
what
90s.
being a man is or what masculinity is, and it's not that. It's not one straight thing. There's not one straight thing of being a woman and womanhood, and you cannot let anybody dictate what your manhood or what your womanhood is.
So what is manhood? Can you? I mean, what is it?
You cannot have one straight definition. If Cameron wants to walk around here in pink and cape, he can walk around here in pink and cape. That doesn't make him less than a man.
Not the cape though. The cape is whack.
Nah,
The cape is whack.
The cape is wild.
Scratch the cape.
But that doesn't make him wearing pink and having a pink truck doesn't make him less than a man.
Right.
Me playing Madden all day doesn't make me less than a woman. My womanhood isn't defined by that.
Right.
So, Stefan, thank you, Tatiana, because she got a chance to have it.
Sorry. I get really upset when people try to define talk about man things and woman things. Like, I can change oil in a car. Like, what are you talking about, man?
I can never tell you how to be a woman or what a woman defines.
I can't tell you how to be a man, and another man can't tell you how to be a man either.
Okay, put the gun down, Tatiana.
He can mentor me, though.
Stefan, can you speak to that, too? Like, is your opinion similar to Tatiana's, or what do you think about just that people feeling like they feel like we'll lose that common ground between the gender roles and anymore? What do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think it's very gender norms are very cool, especially for men. It's not really cool for women, which is why there's been so much fighting, and so much like the suffrage movement and different movements for women, because it's very easy to be a man in the context of the household. It's very easy to go out and for us to go and take care and like collect money, go work, do our thing, come home, grab a beer and watch TV and have the woman cook and clean and take care of the house and stuff. But that's not how it's functioning in this day and age. Now we have women who are also going to work, and there's men who are also cooking, and I think it's good to have an equal share. Now, whatever your relationship is with your woman or your significant other, I don't have a problem if you guys have gender norms in that, because people work in different ways. Relationships work differently. But I don't think you should be imposing your gender norms on someone else, because there are different ways to be men. Like, I can't tell any man, like, my view of being a man may be different from your view of being a man. Like, to me, it was like Cameron, like Tatiana mentioned Cameron, for instance. I grew up in the fucking suburbs. So when I saw Cameron, I was like, I didn't think, oh, he's feminine. I thought he looked like a Harlem thug. Like, he looked like somebody who gang you up. Like, he looked like Jim Jones, all of them people, like, they look like Harlem thugs to me. But the thing is that your perception of something doesn't mean that it's realistic, because to you, Cameron soft, Cameron this, Cameron that. Cameron is different to everybody, and that's the cool thing about it, because Cameron can be himself. Well, he may not like his case.
Well, there's the difference between an undershirt, a man wearing an undershirt, and a man wearing a bra. I mean, there's a difference.
A man wearing a bra is not a piece of clothing is not going to change the representation of who you are.
I'm just saying that it looks different. There is a difference when you visualize a man in a shirt and a man in a bra.
There's a difference.
You're talking about blurring gender.
There's a difference because you sexualize. You're looking at bras from the standpoint of them always being on women. If somebody never told you,
how should I look at them?
Well, no, I'm not saying that you should look at them differently.
No, I'm asking you. I'm asking you because a bra, like, how would I look at them?
Because guess what? Because when you're looking at a bra, for instance, you're looking at it because you've always seen it on women. There are men who wear bras because they have to wear bras because their breasts are too big. In certain areas, there are people in Africa back in the day that used to wear skirts, but now skirts are considered to be a feminine thing. There are different ways that people do things at different times, and you can't really like label it as being this or that. Seeing a man in a bra is going to be uncomfortable for you because you're used to taking off a bra on a woman. But that doesn't mean that it's, oh my God, like now you're trying to be a woman. It means, hey, I'm a man in a bra. I'm trying to challenge things to be myself. I like to wear bras.
Oh, hold on real quick. So I want to stay on topic. I'm loving the dialogue. Before I want to ask John a question.
Yes.
but before I get to John, we were speaking about Cameron, right? Wearing pink.
He's a nice guy. I met him. Yeah.
Great. Let me get it out. Cameron's content was still Killer Cam, was still I'm selling drugs, was still I'm shooting people, right? Young Thug is dressing in a dress, saying "bae" and kissing people, all that kind of stuff. So I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying that beyond fashion, I wouldn't make the correlation between Cameron, whose content was still rugged and gangster, to Young Thug, whose content and fashion sense is saying something completely different, right? So I don't. Yeah, I mean, to me, honestly, I think like he on Rich Homie Quan, he calls him his bae, and he called him bae, and they was kissing and hugging, and he said,
nah, but if you listen to some of that, if you listen to most of the stuff that Young Thug does, if Young Thug looks like a Southeast DC dude. If you get in a car and you see Young Thug walking around you at night, it don't matter if he in a dress or a hoodie, you locking your door. Because he looks just like all them other thugs that be out in D.C.
And you know what? In fairness, I spoke to him for like 2 seconds two nights ago, and he's a nice young sir. So I will say that.
Right. So what I'm saying about Young Thug and Cameron, I'm not saying Young Thug isn't menacing, right? I'm not saying Young Thug isn't a thug. What I'm saying is I can't compare him to Cameron because Cameron's content was still very much so machismo, wearing pink. They're not the same. They're not the same content. They're not the same stat. So getting back to John, you mentioned before about the agenda and the media forcing things down your throat, pause, and all these different things. And pause is just a joke, you know.
We get it.
We got it.
Too.
When I'm in these offices, right, and they're signing artists, whether it's Trinidad James or it's Kendrick Lamar, whoever it is, there isn't a plan to say, hey guys, you know what I want to do to mess up the world? I want you to talk about this. I want you to tweet this person is your bae. A lot of times record labels are finding people who are already hot underground, who've created their own image, and just putting money behind it. Oh, they're rapping about cornbread, and they got 2 million views? Okay, let's sign them up. Or they're talking about world peace, and they got 5 million views? Let's sign them up. It's not a content distinction. There's no... What I'm just seeing from my level, I've been in the game for a minute on publishing, record label, radio stations, TV, all that. There's no written down world agenda to change culture based upon music. It's about money. People want to make money and go home. That's all they want to do. They're not changing artists to sound a way other than to make money. So if you can prove to them that saying, be a man and raise your son and be a father makes money, they're going to sign you if you have 5 million views. And then if you can't be consistently influential and consistently sell, you'll be Trinidad James. You'll be gone. You'll be Krayshawn. You'll be gone. You'll be Young Thug next year. You'll be gone. So we're scared. Everybody was scared of all gold everything, and he's ghetto, and oh, look at hip hop now. It's terrible. He was out of here before the year ended. Krayshawn, she's a white girl saying the N-word. Now all we gonna say N-word. She's gone. She's out of here. So we hear all these people in these nuggets. She's like 1 foot out the door. We're scared of all these people who end up going away. So if we're going to use history, don't play with the mic. So if we're going to use history as a basis, let's use all of history. Don't just use something far-fetched. Let's use what's happened. And what's happened is flash pan artists come, they're outliers, they're eccentric, and then they go away. So why is Young Thug being used as the mascot? I know why. Because there's some older rappers who don't want to say that Kendrick's killing it, that can rhyme better than them. They don't want to say they don't want to say that J. Cole is selling up the Garden 3 times the same week. They don't want to say that. They don't want to say these young cats now own their own record labels when the older rappers were getting D'd out of their contracts and not making money. They don't want to say that. Now I respect the old heads, but they don't want to give people props. So they use the lowest common denominator rapper like Young Thug to define a generation. That's what this issue is about. And they nitpick. So what do? They nitpick a guy wearing a dress. That the other guy's actually selling units multiple times. They don't want to do that. That's my theory. So I think the agenda is the older cats who didn't take control of the game when they had it, and now they're mad they're not influential, and the new cats are selling records. That's what I think is going on.
So that's what happened back in the days when Grandmaster Flash and those guys took over the game back then. There was guys that was already doing it before them. And say, well, these old guys don't know what they doing. Like, we gonna take it, we gonna move it in this direction. I mean, that's the prevalent attitude, the same one that's going on right now. Well, basically, you know, your ideology right there.
Right.
That's an ageism thing. Like, our way is the way. We got sales. We got a way to track it. We got guys that can fit. No, not you personally. No, not you personally.
No, not me. That's what I hear from the older generation. Like I never hear. You know what? Kendrick Lamar can rhyme better than ODB. I never hear that. I always hear, oh, we had Nas, we had Rakim, we had Jay-Z. You guys have Young Thug and Trinidad James and Iggy Azalea.
Wait, you saying that people are debating with you that Kendrick Lamar can't spit and he's not lyrical?
No. What he's saying is,
I don't mean us. I don't mean us. I'm talking about in general.
What he's saying is that enough of the positives are highlighted. Like kind of like John was saying, like I used to be able to buy 5 albums and I can't. And it's like he's talking about when you talk about the different eras as opposed to highlighting the new era and saying, man, you know what, I really appreciate X, Y, Z, Kendrick and these guys for doing their thing, and Drake. It's usually picking out, okay, well, in my era, he was the top. I mean, the post kind of speaks to it all. Like, and I said, I don't understand why you would take a lyricist like Rakim, a lyricist like Nas, and then put and not any of the lyrics from the era. So that's what he's talking about, the division where the old,
it's the equivalent of using Hammer and Vanilla Ice as crutches when you want to talk about corny rappers.
Exactly.
Literally that equivalent.
They had influence. They sold millions.
But not consistently. Okay?
Who? You go diamond one time, you paid, right? 10 million?
No.
But what happened after that?
Hammer had 3 years.
They went broke.
What happened
Vanilla Ice
after?
influencing except Iggy Azalea.
He had his own label.
John, Hammer had a 3-year run, fam. Vanilla Ice had 1 album. One album. So when we say sales, I mean sales consistently. I mean Jay-Z. There's not a coincidence that the biggest well-known rappers are the ones that also sold the most. Nas is Jay-Z great, but Nas is also in the 20% of high rappers. So you say Jay-Z, Nas, Eminem, Big, Tupac, all those guys sold records. So you can't say sales is out of the equation of influence when everybody's top 5, top 10 rappers sold records. You know what I'm saying? So
except for KRS-One, he didn't sell that many.
But no, when KRS came out with the Boogie Down Productions, they were still in the top 20% of sales. They weren't selling platinum plaques, but for that time period, they were the equivalent of Wale. They were the equivalent of a Big Sean. They weren't the top of the totem pole, but they were the top % of that genre. There was only like 40
It's Criminal Minded isn't even platinum yet, and it's been out 30 years. Right.
But it came out when the time when people were selling rap. My whole point of it is like we gotta stop comparing eras and not. If we gonna compare eras, let's do it. John, you right now can't find 5 albums because you're 37. Like I'm not saying that you. No, I'm not saying.
No, I can find as many albums I want to.
No,
it's not about my age. The fact is, it's some shit. Ooh, sorry. Go ahead.
Let me finish real quick. I'm not saying that you should be like this old listener, Earth, Wind, and Fire, and smoke cigars every day. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is right. What I'm saying is that a 6-year-old kid right now would argue with you. Would say, no, I bought Logic's album. I bought Earl Sweatshirt. I bought Tyler the Creator. I bought Mac Miller. I bought Big Sean. I bought Kendrick. I love J. Cole. I love the game. They could probably name you 30 rappers because this is their era. So I don't expect you. You're not at the lunch table anymore. You're not riding the school bus. You're not. Every second of your being is not consumed by hip hop versus when you were 18, 19 years old. So of course I don't expect you. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you should be into hip hop. I'm saying you're not supposed to be into it as much as you were 10 years ago. And people are consuming music differently.
I'm still into it. It's just certain stuff. It's quality music.
So but you're not into it like you was 10 years ago.
I mean, what are you asking me? Like, what are you asking me though? Actually,
I'm not asking you. I'm telling you that you being older this puts a different lens on hip hop than you had 10 years ago. So yeah, you mentioned earlier you couldn't pick out 5 albums today. I wouldn't expect you to because you're 37.
Okay, so what does that say about
my man Freddie Rap? So I got a lot of friends that are. I know some DJs. They buy everything. They buy everything. That's not necessarily true. If I like it, I'm gonna get it.
Unless you're in the music industry, obviously. Like I said before, you're being. John, you're not on the street corner talking to your best friends about the top rappers right now, are you? Are you debating top rappers on the street corner?
Nah.
No, I'm debating online. I don't do that anymore.
You don't debate online.
If I want to find out about the hottest...
I got a question. This is my question. Yeah. And to any of you. Go for it. Please, any of you. Tatiana, Stefan, Deshaunus, you. Listen, all of you. Listen, besides the Kendrick, Drake, J. Cole, you know, like the main.
Miller,
Yes, besides
Wale,
them.
Pusha, J. Cole,
Right,
Rocky,
besides them.
Joe Budden,
For me,
Game.
Yeah, well, I know who they are. I know who
Get
Joe
out of
Budden
here,
is.
man.
What I'm saying is, besides those guys, give me 5 that I should go out and go purchase right now and listen to it. You know, like tomorrow when I ride the train to work.
I give you 13. I give you 13. You want me to give you more? Let's count. Want to count? We can all count. You want to count? I can give you 20. You want to do this?
Wait. Before you do that.
No, hold on. No.
By the way.
Hold on. If you go.
13.
Wait, well, hold on. Your mic went out?
Hold up. If you go, can you hear me?
No.
Yeah, I can hear you.
If you go to
I hear you, but not loud.
You go to youtube.com/BMOCTV. I've given a review every week last year of new hip hop artists, right? I did over like 40-something freaking reviews of hip hop. So like, I can name you 30 new artists right now. My whole point is that we can have that conversation. But you guys are just seeing Young Thug memes and thinking he's the leader of the culture.
No, I know he's not the leader of it. We don't even know who made the meme. That's what I'm getting at. I don't think Corey set out to say this guy is it. We know he's not.
And we did have we had the episode on here talking about the top 5 albums of the year. We had albums on there. The J-Rock album, the Compton album, 2 Game album, Joey Badass, Schoolboy Q.
Tyler the Creator, Earl Sweatshirt. We named them.
Don't be mad at us if you is that to the street. I'm sorry. If you is that to the street, don't be mad at me. Listen, if I'm fresher than you with my hip hop stuff, don't be mad at me. It's not my fault.
No, it's cool, man. It's cool, man.
My Spotify bumping. Listen, my Spotify.
I ain't mad at you, brother.
And can I say this real quick? Because I know we got a lot of members. This ain't a stab at all the old heads. What we're going off of is John was the first one that said, I can't find 5 hip hop albums. So we're not saying everybody.
What I'm saying is, hold on, wait. I can go find them, but are they hot? Are they blazing? Are they classics?
Yes.
Am I going to listen to this in 2050? Like, oh man, is it the purple tape? No, it's not the purple tape. But is it on that level where, yo?
What was the last time you had 5 classics in 1 year?
Oh my gosh, man.
96. Next.
You know what's funny?
Here's your answer.
2015 had probably the most.
How you know it's 96?
Hold up. 2015.
2000 maybe.
John. 2015 probably had the best collection of mainstream hip hop music that we've had in years, right? And people still want to complain. Oh, but it wasn't like the purple tape. Not joking you, but it wasn't like Biggie, because you're not listening to it. How would you know? You're not listening to it. You wouldn't know what's out because you don't know who's out. If you can't name me 20 hot new rappers, that means your ear's not to the street. That has nothing to do with an agenda or anything. That's something to do with you just maybe you're aging out of current hip hop.
Can I just use an analogy here?
Open to listen to new hip hop, not being open to giving them a chance. I'm sorry, Steph. Not being open to giving them a chance and always want to compare them to their successors, and that's not fair to them as artists.
Like, let's think about the analogy though. Like, okay, so we're like this whole like agenda, for instance. Back in the 90s, there were a variety of different rappers. You had your backpack rappers, you had your gangster rappers, you had rappers who were literally rapping all about weed. Like, think about like a Tribe Called Quest. Very successful rap group, very influential rap group of its time, and even still today in some regards. But they were a certain sect of hip-hop. They did a certain thing. They probably had dealt with a lot of controversy because of how they were different from gangster rap. Right. That was an agenda that people argued about before. This agenda has it has been 20 years since the Tribe Called Quest, and now we're in a place where there are people who are definitely fitting in with that. There's a certain aesthetic of a Tribe Called Quest fans. There's certain people who are wearing dashikis and doing things that a Tribe Called Quest are doing, but it's a very small set. You're not going to JCPenney's and taking your son somewhere and seeing a whole bunch of Tribe Called Quest shirts. You're seeing the same shirts that people was wearing 10 years ago, especially in New York. Nothing has really changed that drastically. There may be things. Diddy has had an overall trend on fashion because Sean John has been a huge thing. Now, if you want to argue about maybe there possibly being a rapper who promotes something that you may not like in terms of fashion on the wavelength that he is, that can be argued in maybe about 20 years from now. But these things have trends and aesthetics and things have happened before, and every time it has happened, nothing has really influenced it to become the mainstream. Nothing has influenced it to become overpowering.
The interesting thing about the era argument is this: is like folks who generally didn't depend on mainstream to introduce them to artists at a young age now do that, right? So I hear that argument a lot, like, oh, you know, I'm a fan of, you know, Kane, you know, I'm a fan of KRS-One, I'm a fan of all these, you know, these people. I came from the underground, and they'd be like, but now all you do is turn on the radio, and I'm like, wait a minute, that don't make sense. You're telling me you were introduced on the underground, and now you turn on the radio and you're disappointed. Well, he told y'all the radio failed. Like if you're not to the streets and you ain't in your local neighborhoods hearing the new artists to break through before they break through, then you can't hold hip hop accountable if you're pulling it from two different directions and you grew up on this thirst and you're on every hip hop site and you know out there buying albums, and now you're just like, well, I'm turning on BET and I'm turning on the radio and I'm going to the top 20 to find what's out there. That's two different sources. It's not a fair comparison unless you got the time and the diligence to pull through everything and then make a fair evaluation of where hip hop is, which is tedious. I mean, it is.
Yeah, so
that's why YouTube exists.
Right, but YouTube is curated sometimes, so you don't know what you're searching for. So you have to go to YouTube and put, hey, YouTube, what is something hot right now? No, you actually are going with an intent to search. It's on demand. So it's not, you know, you can go to program channels, but it's not as curated. So let's wrap this whole thing up. My whole point, I think we're having, is two different types of conversations. One's about the perception of the new generation being the poster children for crossing and mixing gender lines. And another part of it is still almost like era elitism. Like, in order to justify my era, I have to downgrade what's going on. Oh, back in my day I could do this, but now I can't. And we're not looking at the other factors of music consumption, of technology, of age, of anything. We just look at it, we just always assume it's quality. We never assume it's anything else other than, oh, well, I don't know about it, so it's not good. It's like, no, there's like a million factors why you may not know who's hot right now compared to 10 years ago. So I think it's two different things. And obviously, what Tatiana said, she got to wrap it up. I feel like if it isn't directly affecting you, which is kind of sad to say, it's not really affecting you or hurting you, what is the issue with somebody wearing a dress or wearing a skirt? And if there's no evidence to show that somebody today is going to influence people 10 years, 20 years from now, what is the problem? And if there is a problem, what is the solution? Like, what do we do to fix it? Is it just endless dialogue that doesn't really have any type of follow-up? I mean, what do we do? Corey?
I don't know. That's a tough question to answer as far as what do we do in terms of things that are, you know, moving on the fly, man. Like, things are just changing on a daily basis. So, you know, with a lot of things, you know, we as society, we just rolling with it because we don't know what is really going to end up. Like, you know, everybody is doing predictive analysis, you know, even on television with the stock market and things of that nature. Like, you can't really predict what something is going to be 100%. But you could still have an outline of what it might be based on some of the trends that have passed through. And fashion is definitely in hip-hop right now on a high scale.
So basically we do nothing.
Well, right now, it's nothing that you can do.
To
be honest with you.
I mean, I hear people say that about the Illuminati stuff. People, not you guys, but people know the Illuminati, it's an agenda. And I always ask, okay, great, what do we do?
I'll tell you what and it's two things. One is if your fear is within your household, neighborhood, community, then you get that in order. If I feel like, you know, if I have a son and I feel like I don't want him doing certain things, then that's whatever your influence is within your household. You can't spread out outside of that. But the most important thing is to highlight the positive. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you feel like Young Thug is a whack artist for whatever reason, then stop. I told one of my Facebook friends is I don't retweet, I don't repost stuff that's trash. Like, I don't. And that's extra promotion. I'm talking about the Kendrick album. I'm talking about my favorite sports people. The more we put positivity in circulation and good things, then the less that stuff matters. The more we post it, and tag it. BMOC is going to get 1 million views this episode, and Young Thug going to be attached to it. We need to be talking about the next great things. And so I think that's what we do about it is keep the positivity spinning and take care of your own house and get your own stuff in order, and then you don't have that same amount of fear and worry.
Right, John. What do we do about it? What's the next step, man?
I mean, I don't think there's a next step. With also, before we go, Grooms was saying this may possibly be the norm in the future. Everything's changing. Men and women can marry each other, all that stuff. It's just constant change. So, as she was saying earlier, let people do what they want to do. That's true. We're just sharing opinions. It doesn't mean that phobic or anything like that. And I agree with him, just highlight the positives about stuff like that.
So John, I'm asking you a question. So if Young Thug, I'm just using this example since it's on the meme, so I'm using Young Thug.
Right, yeah, of course.
If we're saying it's a possibility that Young Thug may influence the next culture, can we also say that Kendrick Lamar could be somebody that can influence the next culture too?
Yeah, I think all these guys in their way, any artist today, let's talk about right now, they're all influencing somebody like PE or X-Clan influenced me, Wu-Tang or something.
Right.
That's how a young kid goes to these concerts. He's going to look up to this artist. He's going to buy his T-shirt. He's going to buy the album. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it goes.
So my question is, so if Kendrick Lamar's going to influence people, Young Thug's going to influence people, and people do what they want to do, won't it be just the same as it is now? Just different people? It's not going to be a majority this, majority that. It's going to be mixed anyway. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, as it's always been. Yeah.
Right. So there's no evidence of it. I mean, if anything, if we're going to look at evidence, the sales would suggest that Kendrick Lamar is more influential than Young Thug.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about evidence and numbers, we would have to do a paper or something like that or get a thesis to really research numbers. I keep hearing numbers up, and, we discuss a lot of things that don't come attached with data.
No.
I feel you on that.
No, but John, the only thing that has data is numbers. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, well, I don't work in that industry where I can actually go out
numbers and influence.
I can go out and just survey,
but it's not the end all be all.
See who's rocking what.
No, John, Corey, I'm not saying it's the end all be all. I'm saying that all this stuff is subjective, right? Except numbers. Numbers is the only thing that is not subjective at all. You can go to a YouTube, type in a video, see numbers. You can go to SoundScan, see numbers. Go to Wikipedia, see the numbers from RIAA. Like, those things would not be disputed. Kendrick Lamar is selling way beyond.
You're talking about sales. Okay.
We can talk sales, airplay, social media metrics, all of it have numbers. So we can't debate numbers. We have them. We can pull them. We can debate everything else, though. What I'm saying is the intangibles that you're bringing to discussion. There's no theory behind it. There's nothing that your evidence suggesting what you're saying is going to happen because there's nothing that you're showing me other than a few guys who are dressing weird. That's always happened in the world. There's always been weird people, weirdos since the beginning of time. Since the Roman Empire, there's been weird people. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And even before that, that's all I'm saying. So fun. So in terms of what we do next, as far as bringing awareness to this, or as far as not making aware, like what is the next step in showing people that they don't have to be afraid of anything? Like what do we do?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think the thing to be aware of is that a conspiracy theory, it's okay to be a conspiracy theorist. It's okay to question things around you. It's okay to be aware of who you are and what you will and you won't do. And it's okay to have a belief in something. I think that all of those things, though, can be dangerous when it's being used to abuse people. And your conspiracy theory should not be trying to be seeing something that you think is a problem because you're seeing it because you don't like seeing it on television, and then deciding that because of that, you're going to stop someone from doing what they should do. And you may not be outright going out and protesting against, people wearing dresses, but it's simple. It's just as simple as your son picking up a coloring book and like having a picture painted all in pink, and you being like, "Oh, well, you shouldn't be doing that. Men don't use pink. Men don't dress in pink." Like stuff like that is alienating a child and making him think that his views aren't his own, and in turn stopping him from being whoever he chooses to be in his life.
Right.
So
that would be horrible, by the way. That would be a horrible thing.
And I know that you feel that, which is why I'm confused as to why your fear of you being in the store and your son choosing something that is different from what you would like him to choose is a problem, because ultimately he's going to be himself regardless, and he's going to be a man.
Right. I don't think that's not my fear. My fear is not about him per se. It's not even about him. it's what, like, I know I make a joke about it, but like I said, it was just more about going into a store and, you know, where they have the men's section and the women's section, and now that don't exist.
So
It ain't about, you know, how I'm gonna raise my child.
Wait. What store was that? What store was that?
Huh?
What store was that you went into?
No, I said in a store, like in the future, because
future.
it hasn't.
Okay.
What I'm saying is there are. Wait a minute. Well, hold on. I have one in Macy's now, and in the men's section, they do have underwear that don't have the hole, you know, in the slit in the underwear. Those are panties.
Okay. Okay. Clearly,
Now, that's
we're going
Macy's.
far off.
No, you asked for an example. I gave you a department store where they have, you know, non-male underwear in the male section.
So
That's
in
what
order
I'm
to be, so now in order to be a man, you have to have a slit in your underwear so you can pull out your penis. Okay.
I'm just telling you what the norm.
Right.
The
So
norm underwear. That's all I'm saying to you, man.
Go ahead, Steph.
Yeah, go ahead, Steph, please.
The concept that you can go to a store and see something, if it's not affecting you or your son because you're not worried about your son, like you said, then your fear of this happening or your thought process of this happening is not going to do anything regardless of if it happens, which is irrational for it to happen anyways because you brought no receipts. So ultimately, this conspiracy theory is just a theory, and it's okay. Yes, receipt. It's okay to be a conspiracy theorist if the conspiracy theory isn't harming someone. And by putting out memes such as this, we may not have done anything to anybody within our group or we may have. You never know. Like somebody could have seen that and been really hurt by it. We never really know. But
created dialogue, that's for sure.
Jax.
And they may not have felt the need to actually speak about it because they were worried about it.
But that post was after Jax, though. That post was after Jax.
That post was after Jax.
Yeah, that was in that.
Leave Jax in 2015, please.
So this is year. This is January.
Oh, it happened this month? Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it was after Jax, though. I do remember that.
Oh, hell. But with that being said, I would be careful about posting memes and things that you know would incite a conversation that is not good for somebody to see who may not feel the best way about themselves. Like, we have to learn how to be not so abusive and offensive to people, like, because it really gets nasty on the internet for some reason. So all I'm saying is have your thoughts, have your opinions, but please don't use them to abuse. Please.
Tatiana, any last words?
True.
I'm just saying that at one point in time, people believed that in the 2000s we were going to be flying cars in space and have robots for maids. And here we are in 2016, still driving on the street, and I have no maid. So this thing about what the future may hold is completely baseless and can be borderline ridiculous. So I'll just wrap this up with everybody should sleep 8 hours a day, drink water, and mind their business and live their life how they want to live their life and not worry about how anyone else wants to live their life or try to impose their ideology on other people. That's it. That's all I have.
Yeah. So I thank you guys so much again. I wanted to have this conversation. Hopefully those out there I'm sure have opposing views. I want you to really give me my comments as far as, like, first of all, do you see that there's a feminization issue in hip hop? What do we need to do about it? And does it affect you? I think there's something to be said for individuality, and I feel like once you're able to respect each other's individualities, we'll be better off as a people, even outside of hip hop. And we also have the right to not like it and not support it. So, support what you like. That's my biggest issue. My biggest issue is that we talk more about what we don't like than what we do like. And my biggest issue is when Young Thug and these flash in the pan rappers is always used as the leader of the generation. That's what annoys me. That's probably my biggest pet peeve of, like, I review stuff. I started the YouTube channel because of conversations like this, because of, I miss hip hop back in the 90s. Like, I love 90s hip hop. That's more my era anyway. Like, I'm 31. Like, I grew up with the Puffy and the Rockefeller. Like, I love all of it. Don't get me wrong. But it's like, at the same time, I'm still listening to music past high school. Like, I'm still into the culture. So when I see people use this same guy as a poster boy, I'm like, no, there's like 30 other cats who are rhyming better than him, better than some of the 90s cats. You know what I'm saying? So that's my issue. Let's try to be open-minded. Let's stop with the whole era elitism. Everybody's era was popping. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's era was popping. Some cats now are still from the 90s. They're still rapping. So let's respect each other. That's all I have to say. So, Corey, any last words, man? Shout outs, anything you're doing, your site, your website, your social media. Shout it out, man. So they can attack you. Not joking.
Nah, you know what though? Honestly, this whole thing was this is actually good. Dialogue on any topic is good. Because opens up. This is not just about our conversation between us right here. Like, you're gonna post this, so people are gonna have dissenting views, or people might strongly agree or disagree. The point is, solutions don't come without you even trying to solve them. But anyway, I do have a website, www.10gpublishing.com. There's a couple of books on there. I wrote one by me specifically. I was in there on a compilation on another. I write poetry. I used to ghostwrite, back in the 90s. I had to get out.
Quentin Miller.
Hey, man. All I can say is this, if anybody that is interested, because you're in the industry, and Tatiana, you said that you're in, you said that you write? Is that what you do?
I am a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
I am
She's
a journalist.
Okay, so
shade.
Sorry.
Listen.
I don't think it was shade. I was stating my title.
No.
It took me a long time to become comfortable with being called a journalist.
That's
what I am.
I can dig it. I've done journalism.
I understand that there is sometimes you have to clarify, because I took one of my first bachelor's was in media communications and in journalism. So yes, you do have to separate the two. I get it. But I enjoyed it, and I would like to come back on, on another, whatever. But I listen to it, so hey, I might get in the chat box and say things, but even online, at least now that we've all heard, each other, and it's not about I'm bashing you or y'all bashing me. Like, we are putting ideas out there, and we need to have some clarification or understanding. That's what this is all about. We didn't come on here to, yell and scream at each other. That didn't happen, which is good. That's maturity.
Yeah, and I want to say something too. And even though I was getting that Corey. Corey is a good dude, always dropping knowledge. He's on my timeline, even outside the group. So it's not an attack the older generation situation. Like, Corey's a really good guy, always supporting stuff. So again,
this ain't the Paris episode. This ain't that.
I didn't bring the picture stuff. I didn't put the summer screen up. You know what I'm saying?
So rude.
Listen, when I come to Sacramento, I got family in Sacramento. I'm bringing my video camera. I need a tour, brother. I got family out there. I need a tour.
The guys don't know nothing about Sacramento. And
you don't know nothing about Sacramento?
You don't want to end like that, Wall. You don't want to go there. It's about to be a whole other show.
I'm playing.
Oh, okay, because he shout out the area code. I was like, hold up.
Deshaun, any last words, my brother?
Yeah, man, it's about the culture. We promote, we get into new levels. Like the page, Walt just launched it last week, the BMOC page. So like it now, even if you're not a part of the group and the discussions. We're trying to continue to, push the envelope and have, the old conversations from the barbershop about top 5, but also the conversations that are relevant now and what's going on. So we let them come to us. We don't just pick these out of the air. This is what was hot in the group. So follow us, look at the views, and thanks for coming on.
And that's facebook.com/BMOCTV. Make sure you like that. John, me and John go back to like my freshman year of college.
Yeah, man, breakfast table.
Debating in the cafeteria about this same stuff. So I know he was gonna be able to hang.
Yeah, I've been rocking with Walter for a while. Like, you got a show back in '08 with Jermaine. You remember your old show?
Yeah, my LB and Sean, Matt Random show, man.
Yeah.
Wow, it was wild.
It was a long time ago. I really enjoyed the dialogue. It's good to come on and voice different opinions. It doesn't mean one person's bashing something. If one person is for one thing, so be it. I think that's what makes groups like this great. And I really enjoyed it, man. I wish I could have been on some other topics, man, some of those other shows, but
no, we will have y'all back next to each other. But no, shout out, you've been in radio, using the radio business, and you do.
Oh man, I've done radio. I did that like on my way to Johnson C. Smith, man. I worked at ESPN for a while, did a little journalism. So yeah, I definitely feel tied to Jan on the whole communication journalism thing. I mean, that's a great thing to do.
Absolutely, so, cool.
Yeah.
And comment. If you weren't on those episodes, go comment. We need you guys' comments on those episodes, please.
Drop those comments. Steph, man. I'm trying to call you Steph now. I don't know. I'm trying to call you Steph. Any last words that you want to shout out, brand, social media, whatever you want to do?
Yeah. I appreciate the dialogue. I think it went pretty well. I write Freshly Served for So LGBT. My Twitter is XION Jones, Zion Jones. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I also do the House of Music podcast with Tatiana, so we're probably trying to get that up and running as soon as possible.
She give me the eyes. She give me the eyes.
She looking like, we'll see.
Like, why are you lying?
But other than that, I think it was pretty well thought out. So thanks, guys.
So Tatiana, by the way, I had a record I wrote that was on WBLS. So shout out to Chubb Rock. You know what I mean? I rock with that station. I wrote a record for.
Hold on. WBLS plays hip hop in the evening. All right, let's get that. Let's clarify that. Okay.
No, but Chubb Rock had to treat her right, so I wrote the remix for Rashida Wallace. She's in the Wacko. That was on the radio in 2014. So shout out to WBLS. Pretty sure to play out here. I like them. You should miss my political connection.
I'm pretty sure I won't be working there anymore. I probably won't ever be working at WBLS now. So.
Dang, man, you're at the WBLS. That's crazy. Shout out to them. Everybody else sitting around too. Tatiana, anything you want to shout out, promote your brand? What's up? All that.
You catch me every day on BlameEbro.com. I have a special column coming up on the rapfest.com about 1996.
Okay.
It's an ongoing ongoing column between myself and the staff. Because I believe that was one of the golden years in hip-hop. So many great albums came out that year, so we'll all be taking our turns talking about different albums that should be rolling out within the next week or two in time for the Fugees' 20th anniversary. If you want to see television show recaps, you can go to iWatchTVSoYouDon't.com. Steph is our old school head on the House of Music podcast.
See? How that works?
He is our president, old school head. He does this thing called Auntie Jam of the Week, where he relives brown liquor R&B classics. And House of Music should be coming back soon. I'll say that. We have a very special Kanye episode with a very special guest coming up, so it will be back soon on the XC Experience Network.
Is it Consequence?
Chill. Nah, me and him got beef right now. We got legit beef. Like, legit beef.
I want 5 minutes.
We got Consequence and I have legit beef.
Consequence of Tribe Called Quest fame? What?
Yes.
Yeah, man.
We have beef. We have an issue that I need to discuss with him.
Okay.
Why is he always beefing? Wow.
That's the OG. That's the OG, man. But that was a great year. I was in the 6th grade. That was a great year, though. Okay, so again, thank you guys so much again for tuning into the episode. Again, I'm dropping some Valentine's Day to show love. Also,
it's my birthday.
What, Valentine's Day or today?
Valentine's Day.
Wow.
Okay.
Jeez, that's a lot of presents. Wow.
All right, so we're going to speak into the future right now. Happy birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm dropping this on Valentine's Day, so if you want to have a live show that day, I'll be out in LA for the Grammys. So this episode will air then. So please, again, drop your comments, like it, share, let me know what you thought about it. And that's it. If you want more, check out youtube.com/BMOCTV or facebook.com/BMOCTV. I'm BMOC. Peace.
Hey.